I'm not sure of the best way, or even if there is a good way to introduce this piece. It's something that I wrote about 20 years ago. I wrote it in 2003, shortly after Susan's cancer diagnosis. So it is a very serious topic, and yet I think it's important to remind that it was written 20 years ago, and Susan has been not only a cancer survivor, but I think a cancer thriver as well. And when I wrote this, I think it was my attempt to make some sense of the whole thing. I call it Juxtaposition and Abe Lincoln's Dog. It's one of my favorite weaknesses. I like to link things together in improbable ways. I love the gift and the challenge of expression. I like for things to make sense. I like to make sense of things. La Petite Morte, the French call it, the little death, an event that we hope and live for, that simultaneous arrival and departure, the coming and the going, that instant of intensely being and of not being, of getting what you want and of completely letting go. So Zen-like, exactly where we want to be, that moment of being both completely with and totally alone. Till death do us part, we said, and jumped into our marriage bed in a combination of frolic and freedom and adventure and of weighty business at hand, but mostly in the spirit of street legal frolic, very aware, we thought, of the prospective outcomes. He was only poking fun, her father used to joke, but she took him seriously. We're all dying, you know, by degrees and over time. Even Lazarus, whom Jesus raised, famous for being raised from the dead, even he survived only to die again later on a different day. The English sometimes call it spending. They say, he spent, or they say, the crisis, as she reached the moment of crisis. Semper Fi, the Marines say, Semper Fidelis, always faithful. Once a Marine, always a Marine. Semper Fi, they say with pride and with respect. Semper Fi. And that seems to make reassuring sense. So many dogs through the years have been named Fido, from Fidelis, faithful friend. And doesn't that make sense? I understand that even one of our most beloved leaders, the president, Abraham Lincoln, had a favorite dog that he called Fido. And that makes sense, doesn't it? We were very young, but that was more than 30 years and 2 grown children ago. California dreaming, warm sun, cool breeze, and warm, smooth skin. Do you ever wonder what you may have missed? I've never been with anyone else, committed to just one for more than 30 years. In medicine, CA doesn't always stand for California. CA is an abbreviation for cancer. Cancer, the aphrodisiac. We know about California and crisis and spending and life and death. But now, when we make love for the first time in more than 30 years, the doctors told us to use condoms because of the poison in her body and because for a while her body itself will be poison. The last time we made love, 2 nights before the treatment started, 2 nights before the poison started dripping into her veins, 2 nights before the chemo and the radiation was to commence, 2 nights before the time when she would cry yet one more time and with one more degree of certainty and mortality and resolution and say out loud to herself, cancer, I have cancer, I have cancer. 2 nights before, as we attempted to make love, and as I moved toward impending arrival and departure, and as she reached crisis of her own, so different from the little death, from the spend we hope for, and as I attempted to think of nothing but impending arrival and departure, of being and of not being, she began to cry, afraid of her own not being, scared, thinking of larger death, of arrival and departure, of being and of not being, of having and of letting go, of being completely with and totally alone. I've heard that Abraham Lincoln had a favorite dog named Fido, and that he had a favorite horse whose name was Bob, which just goes to show, as with so many things in life, there just seem to be so many things in life that just don't seem to make any sense at all.